You guys, I've tried recording this about 5 times now, and every single time something keeps going wrong. So I'm getting lagging, and one time my microphone wasn't plugged in. There's all kinds of stuff happening. So I'm on round 5. It's getting late. I'm exhausted. I'm going to try to shoot through this in one take and see if I can do it. So wish me luck. All right, here it goes. So this video today is the one that I promised you after my last video about the pros and cons of going back to work after a deep loss. This is going to be my own personal story. So this is more of like a vlog and ramble and life update kind of thing. So if that's your jam, stick around, hear my story, maybe feel less alone. If that is not your thing and you like more of the content, kind of stuff that I do, then feel free to move on by if you don't want to watch this one. If you haven't seen the pros and cons, that one's definitely more content related. All right, enough rambling. We're going to get into it. So my personal return to work story. First, I just have to say right off the bat that I feel like the bereavement system in the US is complete shit. There is no other way to put it. It's ridiculous. It's terrible. If you work in any sort of major company or public sector or anything like that, you probably have the same situation where I do. If you don't know, I am a teacher. I'm an 8th grade English teacher in a middle school. And of course, schools are public. They are regulated by contracts. So we have a contract between the union and the board, and there really is no wiggle room. It's set in that contract how much we get as far as bereavement leave goes. So you should know going into this, so my bereavement leave for all of the employees, if you lose like a next of kin, a close relative, you get 5 days of bereavement. And I know for some places, 5 days is actually good, which is dumbfounding to me. So my own personal story, what happened was so we're going to go back to, would have been November, 2 years ago. So November of 2021, my dad passed away unexpectedly. He had a heart attack on the side of the road. And before that, I got 5 days of bereavement leave. And then 10 days after my dad died, on the day of his funeral, my stepmom basically completed suicide. She overdosed on pills and alcohol on purpose. And again, that was even fewer days. So I felt like I had to come back pretty quickly after that. That was a lot to deal with at once. So that was November. In December, I found out that my mom had pancreatic cancer, so that was, a big deal. And then on February 9th, 2022, my 10-year-old daughter, Libby, died in a car accident. My son, Max, was also in the accident. He was driving the car, and he sustained a bunch of injuries, most notably head injuries that he was dealing with, and lots of like cuts and scars and that kind of stuff. For Libby dying, the 5-day rule applied. So I am all for having uniformity, but my 10-year-old daughter died and my son was injured, and I had 5 days of paid bereavement leave. Like, that is wrong, in my opinion. And I don't blame the school district. It's like this all over the place. It's not just my district. And they did what they could. I took the 5 days. You were allowed to take whatever sick days and personal days you had left. But because of my mom and my dad, I had like no days left. So I couldn't do that. So then we have a sick bank where people donate some of their sick days when they first start working at the district. And so there's a big bank of available days. And then if you use all of your sick days throughout the year and you have kind of an ongoing problem or something big or surgery or something like that, you can apply to the sick bank to use those days. So they told me I could apply for the sick bank, which I did. I had to get a note from my doctor saying that, I was mentally unable to go to work, which no shit. Right after I got that note, I ended up checking myself into a day program at a mental hospital because of some very dark thoughts that I was having. And the issue with that was good that I could do the sick bank. You could only do a maximum of 30 days. So I did the 30 days and I was still in the program at the day hospital. I had to actually check out of that program against medical advice because they wanted me to stay longer, but I couldn't because I had to go back to my full-time job. So I know a lot of people say that you have options when this happens, like you could do the Family Medical Leave Act, or something like that, or couldn't you work something out? For me, no. I was given options, and again, this is every district. This isn't just my district, and I'm assuming it's like many jobs across the country. With the Family and Medical Leave Act and with the other option I was given to take some more time off, both of those options would have been reduced pay, or I would have had to start paying for my benefits. And holy crap, people, what benefits for a family when you have to pay for them all yourself? Oh my God, it is so expensive. That was a eye-opening moment when I got that figure, because that would have taken up pretty much my entire paycheck to pay for the freaking benefits. So obviously I couldn't do that. At that point, I was living in, the house that we had lived in. My husband at the time had left, so I was by myself. We ended up getting divorced then. So it was just me. It was me in a house that I had to pay the mortgage for. I had to pay all of the bills. I still had 2 kids living at home that I had to feed and who needed things, so I had to go back to work. I didn't have a choice. I needed that full-time paycheck. And the other thing is, if you know any teachers or know anything about the pension system, just really quickly, so the goals of the pension system, you try to get to 25 years where you can get early retirement for a little bit of a reduced rate, but not too much reduced, or you can go 30 years to get full retirement. And I'm pretty close to 25 years. So that is my goal, to get the 25 years. Right now I'm at 22. But if I would have taken either of those, it would have stopped the clock on my time contributing to my pension, which I didn't want to do that either. There really were no realistic options at all. If you need a full-time paycheck, you don't have any options unless you have a boatload saved, which I did not. So that was kind of where I was. So even though I didn't want to go back, honestly, I didn't have a choice. So I just sucked it up and I went, and I had to go back full-time, and it was really, really hard. And if, again, you know any teachers or you talk to any teachers, pretty much every teacher will tell you, and again, this is just my own personal experience, but teaching is exhausting. It is exhausting. It is exhausting when you're not in grief. Any normal teacher is pretty much exhausted. If you're doing it right, I explained it to people like you are an actor putting on a show for 5 hours straight. And it's tiring. It's tiring having to be on. So for me, it's being in a room full of 8th graders, having to control them, having to, be animated and be excited about what I'm teaching them and get them excited, and, reading books with voices and things like that. And I wanted to do my job well. And if you do your job well, it's tiring. It is so tiring. And so I had a lot of anxiety going back, because I wasn't sure if I could do a good job. And I honestly still have no idea how I made it through the end of that school year after Libby died. It was really hard. It was a struggle, and it's kind of a blur at this point. My coworkers were amazing. They did everything they could to help me, but really, what do you do? What do you do when somebody's 10-year-old daughter was just smashed by a truck? You can't help someone in that situation. So all I did was just keep telling myself that it was only 2 months until summer break. And I kept saying, you can do anything for 2 months. You can do anything for 2 months. And that was my mantra. You can do anything for 2 months. And I put on my fake face and I went back for 2 months. I'm lucky, I know that I have a summer break. So I could take that summer break to recoup. The issue that I had was that my mom's cancer started getting really bad. And so that summer was spent taking her to different hospitals and doctors and her having treatments and helping her with things because she was increasingly unable to do things on her own. So my summer wasn't as restful as I hoped. And then that following school year, which would have been my first full school year after Libby and my dad and my stepmom died, throughout that whole year, it was just hard. There's no other way to describe it. Last year was, I did it and I survived, and I'm happy that I survived, but it was hard. All of the personal time and sick days that I would have had for myself, for my own mental health, which I needed. I needed, and I'm sure you understand, you need that mental health time for yourself when you're going through something, going through a huge loss, right? Those days I didn't get for myself because I used every single one of them for my mom. And so that was hard. I didn't take care of myself the way that I should have. And I felt that everywhere in my body, my soul, my mind. I was just exhausted pretty much all year. And I also had to go through all those firsts. I had Libby's first birthday and the first Halloween without her dressing up, and our first Thanksgiving without her, our first Christmas without her, the anniversary of her death. All of those things I had to go through in front of a classroom full of students, being on and pretending like I was okay, which is really tiring, and I don't recommend it. But that is the system that we have set up, and I really didn't have any other option. So I just did my job. That's the other thing. I don't want to, maybe that's part of my problem. I don't want to shortchange my students when they're in my classroom because of what's going on in my life. So I do try to do the best that I can and be animated and do stuff in the crazy voices and make things fun. And it takes so much out of me. But I feel like they deserve that. They deserve to have a good teacher, and I want to be professional and do that. But it's also kind of at the mercy of my own mental health. And it's a shame that it's like that in our country, where you have to make that choice between the paycheck and your mental health. But that's how it is. So we survive, right? We get resilient and we suck it up and we do it. So I did that until April. And then my mom died. And I got 5 days. Again. So yeah, after using all that time for all of her treatments and helping her with things, she ended up in hospice in April and passed away April 4th. And I took my 5 days and went back to work and finished the year and had my summer, and now I'm here. And part of the reason why I'm making this video, and this is where it's going to turn more into like the life update vlog kind of thing, so bear with me because I'm going to ramble about Libby and how I'm doing, and it's not great, honestly. It will get better, I'm sure, but right now at the beginning of this year, I am really struggling, and it's so hard because this is the year that Libby should be in the middle school with me. And that might not seem like a big deal to some people, but for Libby and I, it was a huge deal. She was so excited to be at the middle school where I worked and to get to see me every day. And I was excited to see her and be able to peek in classrooms and see her there and see her in the hallways and at assemblies. And I get to see her classmates and her friends all there doing the things that she should be doing, and she's not. And that is so hard. It is so hard. I've cried more. We've been in school. I've had a couple teacher days, and this is our first student day. And I've cried more in the past 2 weeks than I've cried in months. Because I just miss her so much. It is a gut punch every single day, honestly. Thinking about how much I miss her being there. And I have to give props to my coworkers because I am so lucky. They have been amazing. If you can see the flowers behind me, someone sent me flowers because they knew this year was going to be hard without Libby. I have people who come to my room to check on me. And I'm so grateful for that. I truly am. And I appreciate them so much. But it doesn't help. If you've lost a child, if you've lost anyone super close to you, it doesn't help. Nothing can help. Nothing can change the fact that all those kids are in that school having that middle school experience for the first time, and my daughter doesn't get to do it. And I just have to deal with that. It's just part of the grief journey, getting through it. But it sucks. It sucks so bad. Yeah. The people at my school, they get it. And I know they do because they love Libby too. Okay, quick Libby story. So if you've watched my videos for a while, she used to come on the bus from her elementary school, and she used to get off at my middle school where I work. And every day from the time she was in kindergarten, just this little girl, she'd get off the bus, and the principals would be out there making announcements about which buses had arrived. So they called them in waves, wave 1, 2, and 3. And so from the time she was in kindergarten, they would let her do the announcements. So you'd hear her little voice on the loudspeaker at the end of every day saying like, wave number 1, you're now dismissed. Have a great day. and it was so stinking cute. And it just made everyone smile because she just radiated joy. And everybody loved hearing her. And then when she was done with the announcement, she'd put a little backpack on and she would make her way to my room, but she'd stop and talk to a million people. And she would fist bump and high five and hug the teachers that she knew. And people would talk to her about her day. And my friend said to me yesterday, she was just a freaking ray of sunshine, that girl. And so I know everyone there gets it, and they saw how much I loved her, and they saw how much she loved me, and how much joy we got just from seeing each other at the end of every day and walking out to my car and me hearing about everything that she went through. And missing that now is, I don't know, it's just really hard this year. And I'm hoping that will get easier with time as I get used to her friends being there and I get used to seeing her classmates. And I'm sure it will. And again, I'll just do what I have to do. I am very open with my students, and I highly recommend this if you have any sort of situation like mine, where you have to be in front of people and you can't take breaks. Everything is on a schedule. I have to be in my room. I have to be supervising. I have to be on. I can't pee when I have to. I have to pee on a schedule by a bell, So I'm just honest with my students about my grief and everything that I'm going through. And I just tell them, if I have to step out of the classroom for a minute and take a moment to compose myself, don't be worried. Like, I'm grieving. That's normal. It's human nature. And I've had a lot of loss. And sometimes that's going to happen. And hopefully it won't happen too often. But sometimes it might. And they've been very good about being understanding. They're 8th graders, so it's not like it makes them behave better or anything. Trust me, they all still have their moments. But, they're very good about, if I say I can't talk about something today or something's bothering me today or whatever, I find that helps, just being honest with people about what you are going through, which is a lot of times the reason why I do this. So I appreciate my students caring, and I appreciate my coworkers, and yeah, I'm grateful that I have a job to go to, that I can earn a paycheck, and I try to look at the positive things, but God, it's a struggle this year. It's just hard, and it is what it is, and I will survive and keep doing what I'm doing. And it's not like a pity me, I have to go back to work. It is, and I'm sorry to anyone who is in this situation that doesn't have a choice, that has lost someone close to them and doesn't get any time for their mental health and has to go back because you have to be a professional, or you have to put food on the table for your family. I get it. It's hard, and I wish it wasn't like that. I wish that there could be exceptions to the rules. And if you are someone who has the option of taking it slow and taking more time, maybe going back part-time, getting your feet wet, getting used to being around people and being back on, you are fortunate, and take it if you need it. There's nothing wrong with that. I wish I could have done that. But if you're like me and you can't, sending you love, because it sucks, but we can do this. So my point is to help you feel like you're not alone, and to tell you that I get it and I understand, and I'm thinking of you all and sending you strength and resilience, and you got this. So, all right, that is my ramble for today. I think everything worked this time, hopefully, so I won't have to do this again. Yeah. If there is anything that you would like to see from me, I feel like these ramble, vlog, life update videos actually get more views and more likes from people. So I'm curious if you could tell me in the comments what kind of stuff you prefer to see. I do a mix of these and then the more content-driven stuff. But if you want to see more of these, I'm an open book. So if there's anything you want to know, any questions that you have, or any experiences that I've had that you would like to hear about, please let me know in the comments. I am here for you guys to provide whatever you need to support you on your journey, because you are journeying along with me. So again, if there's any topics you want me to cover or anything like that, please let me know. Until next week, I will see you guys later. Sending love and hugs.